Good morning, everyone. We're diving into a conversation about happiness today. Not that superficial kind, but the deep inner happiness that comes from within, even when external conditions are far from ideal.
Yep, exactly. It's like, why do so many folks chase after money, fame, or material stuff when really true happiness is an internal journey?
Right. We hear stories about people um, being happy because they have a big bank account or a fancy car. But then there's that different perspective, the one that says, no matter what happens externally, your heart can remain filled through a deeper connection, like with God.
Absolutely. And that's something that really comes out when you listen to those personal stories of transformation. One speaker mentioned feeling completely empty and then finding that, home inside of God's presence.
Exactly. It's like when you're in a rough patch, like not having the perfect marriage or fancy car, you can still experience that inner peace because your happiness isn't conditioned on those external factors.
Yeah, I get that. It's really a paradigm shift from trying to fix the outer world to turning inward and asking, what fills my heart?
Yep. And we even hear stories of personal breakdowns, like one guy who cried in Golden Gate Park looking for God. That raw expression of needing something more speaks volumes about how crucial it is to find that inner source of joy.
Powerful indeed. And then there's the flip side. Some folks start life with strong religious roots, like being raised in a church. And yet, when life throws challenges, even they sometimes lose touch. One story described a moment of confrontation in church where a pastor got yelled at and he retreated, only to later hear a voice saying, if you don't want to be, then you don't have to.
Right, that was a turning point for him. It's like he realized that um, his role wasn't just about doing the work of being happy on his own. It was about, relying on a higher power.
Definitely. And this idea of dependence on a higher loving force, like the analogy of God driving the motorcycle, you're just holding on and enjoying the ride. It's so vivid, right?
Absolutely, it's like when you're sitting on the back of that motorcycle, the world may be rough, but if you're trusting the driver, you'll have a smoother journey.
Yeah, that's a neat image for sure. But one thing I've been wondering, even if people claim that inner happiness comes from God, what about when external pressures like failing relationships or financial stress get overwhelming? How do you say to someone, hey, even if these are bad, you can still be happy?
Great question. I think it's about understanding that while those external factors often sting, they're in a way finite. They're like fleeting clouds compared to the vast, infinite nature of your spirit.
Exactly, yeah. Right. It's almost like a coach would say, you have to look at what's really causing that pain. Is it truly the broken marriage or the failed career? Or is it the deeper part of you that feels disconnected?
Yes, and from some of the coaching stories we heard, people often try to patch things up externally. They say, fix your boss, fix your partner, without realizing the problem might be inside them.
That's a crucial point. I remember one story. A woman battling depression for decades would wake up disliking a rainy day, feeling like everything was wrong, even though rationally she knew others would smile in the same weather.
Oh, exactly. It's like her mind was just programmed to spiral downward, and no list of things to be grateful for would really rewire that deep thought pattern unless she reconnected with a higher
Right,
purpose.
because gratitude exercises can only go so far if the root of the issue isn't addressed. And what struck me was this idea that even if you check all the boxes, like in some cultures where success is measured by going to a top school, marrying the perfect person, landing the ideal job, people are still not happy.
Yeah, that was such an eye opener. It's basically saying happiness isn't a checklist. One speaker told this fascinating story about a guy who had like everything by society's standards: a good education, a great job, a fancy life, yet internally he was
Exactly. And
crumbling.
sometimes he even confessed that despite having it all, he just wasn't happy. And then there's this narrative about a mission trip in Cambodia. Imagine being on the back of a truck, sweating it out in blazing heat and dirt, and then spotting someone who, despite being in the same rough circumstances, is grinning ear to ear.
Oh, yes, that really illustrates the point. It's like the external hardships are the same for both, but the difference is what they focus on. One sees the misery, and the other sees the love and
That's a
connection with
story that
others.
sticks with you. And then there's the whole conversation about, being walked with God. When you're in that state of unity, that deep connection, you're not trying to fix everything by yourself. Instead, you're just surrendering to a higher being who fills that infinite space inside you.
Yes, and that's the amazing part. When you let go of trying to control every outcome, you allow that deep inner happiness to emerge. It's like you say, I'm not going to stress over the little things because I know my life is rooted in
Exactly.
something
That's
much
the freedom
bigger.
we're talking about. I also appreciated the discussion on identity. One speaker mentioned, I'm a new person in him, and really emphasized that this transformation, this identity shift, is what brings sustained joy.
Totally. It's like waking up every day, not as that whiner or troubled person, but as a new creation, someone who's connected deeply to his spiritual essence.
Right, every day becomes a fresh start. Although I have to respectfully challenge one point. Sometimes people might argue that relying solely on spiritual identity can be seen as escapism. What would you say to that?
Good point, and I understand that critique. But I think it's more about balance. It's not about ignoring your problems, but about grounding yourself amid challenges. When you're anchored in a higher truth, you're less likely to be tossed about by every external storm.
That makes sense. And that inner stability can then inform your actions in the world. It's almost like if you have that internal peace, even if your external circumstances are bumpy, you still operate from a place of gratitude.
Precisely. It's not about denying reality, but rather, you're learning to see that external conditions are temporary while your inner foundation remains strong. Like that favorite analogy where even if you're in a crumbling house externally, the home inside your heart remains intact.
Yeah, I love that image. And then there's the story about the pastor who recognized that instead of trying to fix every external issue, whether it's with a boss or a partner, he instead turned inward to find why those issues hurt him so deeply.
Right. And it's interesting how he mentions that sometimes we're actually in need of a change within ourselves, not a change in others. That real transformation comes when we let go of the need to control and instead accept who we truly are.
Absolutely, that's a profound realization. And then we circle back to that joy once we embrace humility, acknowledging your unworthiness, and yet accepting the love that fills you. It's like a cascade. You let go of all the expectations, and then you really experience joy.
And in that space, you realize that no matter how many external problems you face, be it financial stress, relationship hiccups, or even the weight of depression, your true self is not defined by these external struggles.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of depression, one of the stories mentioned how thoughts can spiral downward. It's so striking how a single negative thought can trigger another, and before you know it, you're trapped in a loop.
Right? And that's why meditation and inner reflection are so important. The idea is to break that cycle by reconnecting with a deeper identity, one that is rooted in something eternal and unshakable.
I totally agree. And you know what? Even though some might say, I have a great bank account, a pretty spouse, and all this success, so why isn't everyone happy? It just goes to show that chasing materialism only gives you momentary satisfaction.
Yup, it's the classic trap of comparing your life to that ideal Instagram snap. But the truth is, even those who appear to have it all can end up feeling empty.
Exactly. I love how the conversation really underscores that it's not these finite things, a good school, a successful career, or even the perfect partner, that fill your infinite heart. Only something, or rather someone, who is infinite can provide that peace.
Totally. In fact, that's the crux of it. Happiness is not manufactured by external success. It's cultivated from within, through a transformative relationship with the infinite, by letting go and just being.
So liberating. And to wrap it up, maybe the takeaway is that the deep, lasting happiness we search for is already here if we allow ourselves to See beyond the external facade.
Precisely. Look inside, discover who you truly are, accept the struggles, but don't let them define you, because there's an unshakable inner joy that remains. That's something worth holding on to, especially when life gets complicated.
Absolutely, couldn't have said it better. Well, it's been an insightful conversation discussing how inner fulfillment transcends the fleeting nature of external pleasures. Sure, life brings challenges, but if we anchor ourselves in that infinite truth, happiness can truly bloom, no matter the storms.
Yep, it's a message to everyone. Whether you're tackling depression, chasing success, or just trying to make some sense of the daily hustle, give your heart a chance to connect with that higher source.
And as we close, let's remember, it's not about having the perfect package, it's about living in a way that aligns your inner soul with your experiences. That's the real, enduring happiness.
Thanks for joining us on this journey through what it means to be truly happy. May you find that inner peace and enjoy the ride, even if you're just holding on in the back seat.
Right on!